Hello everybody and welcome to video editing, narrative film editing, week 3, fine cut editing. So this is the big moment. We've worked from the rough cut, we're now getting into the fine cut, and this is where the story really starts to take shape, and it's one of my favorite moments of going from rough cut to fine cut, and we'll talk about what that really means. So yeah, thanks again for joining us and following along on this journey. I hope that you've been able to work to get a rough cut done. My name is Tom Strnad, the lead digital artist of the Creator Space, and I'm here to continue your editing journey. So let's do that. So just before we move along, I just want to thank all our partners in this project for making this happen. We have the Canada Council for the Arts, and then we have our library partners. So thanks to the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Mississauga Beach Public Library, and again, all this, what we're demoing, you can access through the free DaVinci Resolve, Blackmagic Design DaVinci Resolve software. It's totally free to download, so feel free to access that. You can rewatch these, so hope you can rewatch and go over what we've done and move towards rough cut to fine cut. That's going to be our goal for this week's workshop. The other thing too is if you are in need of access to get to a digital arts workstation, we have these iMac computers that we're setting up throughout all our library partner locations, and they already exist at the Blue Mountains Public Library and Wasaga Beach Public Library, and they'll be coming to the Collingwood Public Library in May as well. So that's really exciting news. So you can access the editing software and kind of a higher end RAM and also hard drives that can handle things like 4K video and things like that. So we can really happy to be able to have that at our partner libraries too. So yeah, without any further ado, let's continue through here. I'm just going to go over what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to look at today is from rough cut to fine cut. We're going to look at pace and tempo. Then we're going to look at reactions, emotions, and silent moments. Then we're going to look at getting the best performance. Fine cut editing demo. So I'm going to take us from the rough cut to the fine cut. And then we'll have a bit of time for a Q&A. Just in the chat, I'm just going to mention here, if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to send me an email. It's tom@tbmcs.ca. And you can access past workshops on our YouTube channel, and you can always rewatch these directly through these Vimeo links. So that's the great thing. So even if you don't worry about taking notes and things, just enjoy, watch, absorb, and then you can rewatch this after and take some notes then if you want, or start and stop and go through it. Okay, so rough cut to fine cut. That is today's entire goal. So what does that mean? So we go from rough cut to fine cut. So what are some of the goals in what that edit should look like? So we're continuing on, and I think that's the neat thing. The changes are quite massive from the beginning when you go from the assembly to rough cut, even just from raw footage to assembly. All of a sudden you've put footage together. So that's a big undertaking to start. And now we went from the assembly to rough cut. That was a big step. All of a sudden there's a lot more reactions. We fine-tuned the different takes and stuff like that. And we went from there. And now we're going rough cut to fine cut. So as the name suggests, it's a fine cut. So this is really the finer points. We're not necessarily aggressively re-editing everything. We are now looking at how do we fine-tune everything that we've done and perfect it. And that means just making it better and better and better through refinement and making it a fine cut. So it's kind of like, fine dining. It just becomes, really perfected food culinary design. So that's the idea. So what we want to do is we want to get the best takes and performances for the film, and that can include different takes and lines within a shot. So now we're going beyond just the best takes and performances. We want to even look at maybe take 2 has a really better laugh than take 3. So we want to look at every single option and opportunity. We'll stumble upon things that will go, hey, that works really well. We want to use that. Or I don't like that, and I want to replace it with this or that. So that's the fun part. We'll really get into finding things by accident and just through review. And I can't stress that enough. A lot of today we'll be looking at the fact that it comes down to time, but the more you can watch and rewatch your footage, sometimes we're really kind of stuck with shorter deadlines and not having the time to rewatch things. But the more you can rewatch and study your footage, you're going to find new gems and new moments that you're going to want to add in there. And that's the really cool part of editing, is that it never really ends. And we see this with films being re-released. We have, like Francis Ford Coppola continually re-releasing Godfather, Part 3, the real new version, Apocalypse Now, like a lot of his films. So you can see that process never really finishes at the end of the day. You can always find more stuff, refine more things. So that's really a important aspect. Then something about matching action. So we introduced that last week. So we want to ensure that all our matching action is the best possible. So we don't want to have big jolts. And the match on action, again, is the idea that if I, in this shot, if I'm reaching for my hat and then I cut to a wider shot, I'm not reaching for it again. So the match would be, I'm reaching for it here, and in the wide shot, my hand is on the hat, taking the hat off. That's the match on action. So it's continuing the action. It's not extending the action or duplicating the action. There are exceptions. You'll see that in things like sports highlights. They might have the same thing. You're not matching action. You're trying to show the same thing from different angles, different replays. So, that's what we're avoiding. We don't want to make it like a sports highlights reel. We want to match action so that it's natural and we don't really see the fact that we're cutting to another shot. There's nothing worse than having a character be sitting at a desk and then it cut to a shot and he's still walking to the desk. So we want to make sure all our matches are really, really good and perfected. Then we want to look at additional reactions, additional reactions to help tell the story. How do we get into better reactions or finding other moments? And then number 4, focus on adding or removing beats or pauses. And the beats or pauses are really cool because, that's, those moments where you can put in some, play with the tempo, play with how to improve the story or how to change dynamics. And think of it almost like musical tempo, where you can shift tempos and really play with when there should be a pause. It could be uncomfortable pauses. Like right now. See, that was a very uncomfortable pause. You're waiting to hear me and it's an uncomfortable pause. Why is that happening? So, that whole idea is what can it be? And why is it there? So why do you have a beat, having a bit of a pause, and making sure, maybe removing unnecessary beats and pauses. Sometimes we go, maybe it was performed that way. The characters, the actors are pausing. And sometimes we can also say, hey, you know what? I want to remove that or reduce that pause length to keep the scene moving faster. So don't be afraid to go both ways. We're not just talking about adding pauses. We can also be talking about reducing or removing pauses entirely. Sometimes you can have a character, jump on another character's line and do that through editing. Maybe it wasn't done like that in the performance. They're saying something, the person interrupts them. That could be done through editing. It doesn't have to be done as a performance piece. So that's the really cool thing. We can really play with those dynamics between the characters too. And the last part here, really 5, we want to remove any kind of glitches. So if there's little, pops or little extra little words or things, and that could be in the video too. So if there's we missed a frame, you want to get rid of any kind of glitches. We're getting to the fine cut, so we don't want to have anything that's too rough looking. We want to really make this, we're getting to the point where it's almost a finished product, a finished scene. Okay, so pace and tempo. Now here's what I was talking about. I just wanted to get a little description of this further, is by deciding to leave a pause or to take a pause away, we end up determining the pace and tempo, right? So then here as editors, we got to think, what's the right pace for the particular moment in the story, that scene, and what is the right pace? Too fast could feel rushed. Too slow could feel that it's intolerable to watch. So you got to get that right tempo and pace. And then what I like to say too is different changing tempos. It can go faster to slower to faster again, are really part of the fine cut stage. You can make tempo changes, just like in music. Think about some of your favorite songs. They usually have things like tempo changes, and that makes them a little more dynamic and interesting, that things are moving faster, slower, and back to fast again. And that's what we can do in our fine cut moments and stages as well. Reactions, emotions, and silent moments. So reactions, emotions, and silent moments. So we can enhance the story further with the different reactions. So sometimes seeing the reaction on someone's face can be really more powerful than hearing the character say something or talk about it. Seeing the other person's reactions can be stronger. We already looked at that and started working on that. Now we want to look at even further elements of that. So more emotional moments and also silent moments. Sometimes, parts that are not even part of the same area. So we're pulling reactions in the same area of the scene. And in the fine cut, I challenge everyone to start to look for areas that are maybe beyond that area. Maybe it's before the take started rolling. Maybe the actor's, looking down and trying to remember a line or something. Use the outtakes can be used too. Sometimes there's gems in those parts too. So that's what I made a big note here. Sometimes that perfect moment isn't where you think it's going to be. So rewatch each take. You can even rewatch the takes when you're looking for reactions without the audio, and really study the characters' faces. So without audio, then you're not worried about what's being said, but you can really go, wow, that's a good, there's some good expression in those eyes, or there's a good nod there, and now it's working really well. So that's you've already done the rough cut, you've watched the footage, probably feels like a million times now, but you need to watch it a million times more to get to that final locked point, and the fine cut is that one step before we get into the locked picture time, right? So that's really important. So let's consider those reactions, emotions, and silent moments. Okay, and then getting the best performance. So in the fine cut stage, you need to start considering things like using different lines or different moments from different takes and combining them. So you might take two, the beginning of take 2, the middle of take 3, and the end of take 6, or the beginning of take 6, and so on and so forth. So getting those right performance elements, figuring out what parts you want where. Now, it could also be, you could also overcut or over edit, and that could be start to make it look contrived. And there's a few, we've heard some stories like David Fincher, where he'll take pieces, different words, and combine things until he gets exactly the take he wants of how it's said, and that could be almost over editing. Fine, it works. We can enjoy his films and shows, but maybe is that really necessary? There's a point where you're starting to almost manufacture editorially. So I like to get into kind of that middle area where I'm trying to get the best performances, but I'm not necessarily, contriving it out of word by word or syllable by syllable. Sometimes we have to, sometimes just for sound editing, there might be, what if someone drops or hits a chair walking by at the perfect take of a perfect word and the person's saying hat. So you might find another hat from another take and put it in there. And that's okay, because we're, again, just trying to make it as good as possible, and replacing things like that can be important. So there can be the technical, but in the case of the best performances, trying to just find the right moments and staying with those. And sometimes a different take is all that's required to get that better performance. So again, keep rewatching your footage, even when you think you've seen it too many times, and consider all these takes one more time. And that's what we're gonna really look at today. Okay, so let's demo the process. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to email me. We'll keep that discussion going, and be able to keep things moving along in terms of how we work on this sequence and so on. So make sure you always want to have your coffee, have your screen ready, and as I let's remember what we need to do. So the first thing always is to make a copy. So we have rough cut 2, and let's see, we have rough cut 2 right here. That's the last one we were at. You might have rough cut 8. You could be working on rough cuts for a while before you're like, oh, that's the one I want to move on from. You might decide to choose rough cut 7 as the one you're moving into the fine cut. That's okay too. Just make sure you know which one you're using and moving forward. So what I'm going to do here, rough cut 2, I'm going to right click, duplicate timeline I choose, and we're going to right away call this fine cut 1. There we go. And now the next thing, always remember to double click on that because you want to make sure that it says Fine Cut 1 at the top. Right, so that's really important. Right up here at the top, it's going to say Fine Cut 1. So make sure that you're working in that. It's a common mistake. I still do it a lot sometimes is, you'll be working, you make a copy and you don't open the copy, right? So that's really important with a lot of software. You got to make sure you open that new copy. It doesn't always open automatically. Okay, so I'm in Fine Cut 1. I've double checked. I know that. Just going to get some headphones on here so I can hear the audio and you guys can hear it too. So right away, I want to look at, okay, how does he start typing? So I'm just scrubbing through. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to click on the one side, and I think I'm just going to try to get rid of a few of the frames there off the top there, and just squeeze that together. Okay, and now what we'll do is let's do a little bit of a split edit here. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to hit Alt, and then click on the video 1 here. And then we're going to just use the period to make it go this way. And I'm going to basically let the sound split over so I can hear the keyboard going. So you can see what we've done here. We've basically just done a little bit of a split, 4 frames, so that the audio carries in from the close-up into the wide shot. And that's, to me, that's so much smoother. We're already fine-tuning it. Okay, so that's nice. Now, let's see if we can have a little bit of a, if there's any kind of a close-up shot, because I'm kind of feeling I wouldn't mind seeing his face or someone's face, maybe our female character, Deb's face too. So let's have a look at what's available in terms of his close-ups here, typing. So this is nice. So see, we got this kind of reaction stuff. So let's find something. So that's kind of cool. We want to get a little bit of that. Okay, so again, we're going to just use that as a reaction. So we don't want any of the audio. We're going to put it on video too. And I'm going to just do the overwrite. Oops, and we didn't mark our endpoint on the timeline. So timeline endpoint there, and let's see how this looks. That's kind of interesting. I like to see this face. And now we just have a little bit too much there, so I'm just going to trim back there a bit before he gets too frustrated. And I feel like that's pretty long as we hold on to the wide, so that's kind of nice, maybe just like up to there. Now we're looking at kind of the pace and tempo. And so let's just do that. I'm going to mark it in and out, and then I'm going to go up here to edit. I'm going to go to ripple cut. And that's going to just take out that in and out point that we made on the timeline, and just, it's going to just, suck that part out from the in and out. So that's edit and ripple cut. So that's a really great shortcut to help fine tune It could be a few frames, any kind of in and out point we make on the timeline. And it gets rid of everything on all the audio and video tracks. Okay, and let's see how he's in the first take too. I kind of like that get back to his face again. So let's put a little bit of that reaction shot here. Okay, we're just going to match it now with the typing. Okay, we're just going to trim that up so we get a little bit of the wide shot. Okay, and there I'm just trimming. I just want to make sure, and we can go frame by frame here. See, his head's down, so we want to make sure it's down in the wide. And I'm just using the these arrow buttons just to kind of go frame by frame in the actual sequence. And we can see that looks pretty good because he's about to get his head up here. And from this shot, it kind of goes back there. So that's a pretty good on match on action. Okay, and now I feel like we should see him being frustrated.
Excuse?
That's kind of fun to see the other character's head kind of come in as he's frustrated. And well, let's put that in and just see how that looks. So, and that's kind of neat because I'm getting a little bit of suspense then. It's like, okay, someone else, you know, we know that someone's sitting next to him, but now she's kind of getting into his space, right? By showing that shot.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
And that's kind of cool. So now we're just going to work on the match. So I just want to move this back. So I'm just going to do a little bit of just a trim with these ones allow us to click on a clip and then just slide it in the timeline itself. So I'm just going to slide this back a little bit. See what that looks like? That's kind of cool because now see, we kind of want to get that so he's like banging at the same time as we get to the shot. And you can see how we've picked up the tempo from like, you know, really starting slow, he's coming in. And I feel like I'd like to see him sitting down in this close-up shot too, like getting ready. Okay, and let's see what we can do there. I'm just going to put that close-up reaction up here earlier. So you can see how that's kind of doubling the match on action. It's not so great. So let's go right about here, and I'm just going to grab that with my mouse and slide it over. And just a few more frames up. You can see how you can kind of see him doing that jacket twice. See, and I know it's a lot of repetition watching things, but we want to really make sure that he puts the jacket down. And now what I want to do is, if we look at, these are the little fine details, but I'm thinking that I want him to kind of get going here a little bit faster. So I'm going to get rid of this spot here, this in and out. So I did an in and out, edit, I'm going to go to ripple cut. That's kind of neat. Okay, so then let's just have a look at getting all that audio in here as well. So we're just going to take that whole shot there, have it in and out, right? And we're going to take, put the video 2 up here, keep our audio 1 down here, and we want to get the audio from that close-up too, because I feel like I want to hold on that shot and stay in sync. So these are those little fine-tuning moments that we'll do. Let's overwrite that. Okay, let's see how this looks. And this is cool. So you can see how we've really it's kind of like one longer shot and it's getting faster and faster. So the tempo is like, boom, 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 boom. And it goes faster and faster as we go. And it kind of leads to that crash, the crash down on the desk. And then we're going to slow down again as she kind of, this character, Barbara next to him, is a calming voice. So I want to kind of see her slow things down a bit now.
Excuse me. Hi, my name's Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be.
So that's kind of nice. So, and I like stay on this wider shot where they just kind of meet each other.
Excuse me. Hi, my name's Barb. I noticed you're. Hi. Hi.
And I'm thinking I want to get to her close up when she says, "My name's Barb."
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb.
So let's put that in there.
Hi, I'm Barb.
That's kind of cool.
Hi, I'm Barb.
Okay, I'm just going to trim this out a little bit.
Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb. Hi, I'm Barb.
That's kind of nice.
Hi, I'm Barb.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Barb.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on the audio here, and we're going to do a bit of that split edit. So Alt, I'm going to click on the audio 1, and see if we can just use her whole sound from the close-up.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb.
See how much smoother that is? I'm using the close-up sound high. I'm Barb and I'm staying on it, but we're using it into the wide. So we're kind of taking the close-up sound and putting it with the wide. So it's a different type of split edit where we're essentially doing like a replacement of the sound. But by cutting to the sound from the next shot, it makes it smoother.
Hi, I'm Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you.
That's kind of cool. Now I'm thinking maybe we need a little bit of a pause there. So I'm just gonna, grab these and I'm just gonna kind of trim it down. Go about 12 frames. I'm just hitting the arrow button here. So I've highlighted everything and I'm just moving this about 12 frames. I just like to do it that way. There's different ways you can do it.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Okay, and that's cool. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to just slide over.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you.
And you can see now we've kind of added a bit of his pause here.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Right, so that's kind of fun. So we left that pause.
Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you. As you can tell, I am struggling a little bit here. And making a little bit of noise, aren't I? Oh, I'm Jeff. My name's...
Okay, so that's pretty cool. I like that, putting a little bit of those pauses, like just a little bit of a pause down. And now here, I'm going to do a bit of a split again. Let's see if we can use his close-up sound.
Aren't I? Oh, I'm Jeff. My name's...
Okay, and I didn't necessarily like that too much, so let's see if we can go the other way.
Listen, my name's Jeff.
Okay. So, I think that's pretty good how we have it.
Aren't I? Oh, I'm Jeff. My name's Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, I'm...
Okay, and here what I'll do is we're just going to hit this side here. I'm going to use this special trim mode up here. And we're going to just put, oops, use this one. Gives a little bit of a pause.
Hey. Oh, I'm Jeff. Hey. Oh, I'm Jeff. Hey. Oh, I'm Jeff.
That's kind of cool. I like how what that's doing there. So it gives us a little bit of that extra moment.
Noise, aren't I? Oh, I'm Jeff. My name's Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you. And you are...
Right, that's cool. And let's do a little bit of a split here.
Nice to meet you. And nice to meet you.
A bit too much there, so just kind of have her end.
Nice to meet you. And you are... Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all. Nice to meet you. And you are...
And I'm thinking it would be kind of cool to see him. He's kind of trying to get away from this conversation. We can see him how, in his wide shot here. So let's see what that looks like.
Thank you. As you can tell, I am struggling a little bit here. Listen, my name is Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother.
Okay, let's go a little bit of his reaction there again. As he spins away.
Nice to meet you.
That's kind of cool. So now we just got to match the action. So I'm just going to slide that down a bit again with these arrow buttons here. Just sliding this block clip down, which is his reactions. I'm just sliding that down, and that's why I like putting reactions on video too, because then you can kind of fine tune them. And I'm keeping my main sync on the video one, audio one. So that's the way I like to do it. Again, it's not, you can do it other ways, but that's a good working way for me.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all.
And now I'm kind of interested to stay on him a bit because I think he's kind of interesting with his reactions to this whole situation.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all. You know, your name sounds really familiar.
And he looks really confused here. I like how that's going.
You know, your name sounds really familiar. Didn't you used to teach a creative writing class at U of T? And you have several best-selling fiction novels.
So that's kind of neat. Let's see what else we have for his, when she says about his writing.
And you teach at U of T, and you've sold several famous fiction novels.
So I like this confusion because he's, his memory loss thing. Let's hold on that and see how that works.
Used to teach a creative writing class at U of T, and you have several best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that.
So this way it's kind of neat. We're not sure. I like holding on this kind of a reaction of his where he looks perplexed and he's not sure if he's really, his identity.
Teach a creative writing class at U of T, and you have several best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Oh, yes. I taught for 25.
And here we're just going to do a little bit more of a split.
How kind of you to mention that. Oh, yes. I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Well, I've been retired for a few years now. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Novels.
So here I just want to kind of see the end of her saying the novels.
Selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Oh, yes. I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Well, I've been retired for a few years now. Ah, I have great memories of. Oh, yes. I taught for 25 plus years at U of T.
So that's cool. Let's keep moving along here.
Well, I've been retired for a few years now. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
And here she's laughing. I kind of want to see her laugh again.
Great memories of those wonderful years. A few years now. I have such great memories of those years.
Wow. My sister.
Now. Those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the most amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her.
You to mention that. Mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though.
I kind of like that take a bit more. So let's go with
Yes.
let's go with take one here. I'm just going to replace that.
Yes.
Novels?
Yes.
Okay. So let's put that in there.
Selling fiction novels.
Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit of a pause here now just with her saying that. So I just chose this top trim mode. I'm just going to click on the right side there. And we're just going to extend that out a little bit. Oops.
Yes.
Novels. fiction novels.
And a little bit of a too much of a pause there, so we're just gonna, again, just get the down a little bit, but just a few frames before he comes to realization.
Novels.
Yes.
And let's try the other way now here, a little bit more on his reaction.
Novels.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's the better side, to actually just have a bit more pause on him.
Novels.
Yes. How?
That's kind of cool. So let's keep him a little bit more confused. So I want to cut out of his reaction while he's confused.
Best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. I have great memories of those wonderful years.
So that's kind of nice. And now let's just add a little bit more of, from that shot.
A few years now, though. Ah, I have great memories of.
So you can see what I have basically now is I'm deciding to use take one here. I've replaced the beginning with take one, and I'm going back to take two, which I think is a better endpoint. And that's that kind of mixing that we want to do in our fine cut, to take, take one, end with take two, and put a little reaction shot of our other character in between, and we combine them and fuse them together, and that gives us a better performance.
I'm retired for a few years now, though. Ah, I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the most
That's kind of fun. I think that's working well.
amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her. You know, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program. Her professor and the things he taught her. You know, if it wasn't for you.
Now that reaction starts to get a little bit too soon, so I kind of want to have a little bit of him, and I'm thinking I want to build a little bit more tempo here again.
To tell the most amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her. You know.
So now I'm going to take the razor blade, and I'm just going to cut a little piece out here. And I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to right click and just hit cut, and that'll just get rid of that spot in between.
You know, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program. Because of you, she's no quitter today. I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing.
Okay, and let's just see what his other take is for the getting the comments.
And you know what? Because of you, she's no quitter to this day. No, I can't wait to tell her I actually...
So that's kind of fun. I kind of like that reaction instead. So let's replace that one there on the top there.
I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing. Please go on with what you were doing. Nice to meet you, though.
Yes, likewise. And say hi to Diane for me.
And here again, I want to get back to like his close-up of frustration.
Yes, likewise. Say hi to Diane.
So that's kind of fun. So let's get right into there from the wide. That's really cool. I'm liking that. So I'm just going to go to that special trim mode there, and I'm just going to suck it up a little bit. Again, just using the keyboard, the period, the two arrow keys here. So I'm just trimming a few frames this way. And it's keeping everything in sync. And that's what that special trim mode there does. It lets you go from left to right and keep everything in sync. So again, I think there's a little bit of overlap there. So I just want to make sure our match on action is pretty good.
Well, listen, it's been so nice to meet you, Bev. Will you have a great evening? It's been so nice to meet you, Bev. It's been so nice to meet you, Bev. Will you have a great evening? Cheers. Nice to meet you, Bev.
And let's see if we can put a bit of a pause when he says, nice to meet you, Bev. So I'm just going to use the razor blade right there. And what we're going to do is let's basically push the rest of that out. So I'm just going to go Command and click on those. And you can see I'm just going to drag that out there and see if we can have a bit of a pause here.
Bev, will you have a great evening? Bev, will you have a great...
Okay, and let's see how her first take is, because the camera moves a little bit there on her response.
Nice to meet you. Have a great day. Bye for now. It's so nice to meet you. Have a great day.
That's kind of fun too, where she's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what you're saying.
Bev, will you have a great evening? Cheers.
Okay, and let's see this one, this take here too.
Listen, it was so nice to meet you, Bev. Have a great evening. Ciao. Bev, will you have a great evening? Cheers. Bev, will you have a great evening? Cheers. Will you have a great evening?
And then I'm thinking we can come back to her reaction there, so she can kind of think about, wait a sec, he's called me the wrong name.
You, Bev. Will you have a great evening? Cheers.
Maybe we can cut into that too, where she's just getting up. So again, just matching the action. I'm just going to trim it back here a little bit.
Oh, wow. I better go help him.
Cool. So I think that's pretty
Nice to
good.
meet you, Bev. Will you have a great evening?
Okay, and I just want to see if we can add a little bit to his Bev line. I just want to try and, really draw that out if possible.
Bev. Will Bev. Bev. Will you have a great evening?
That's kind of nice, because now we're getting that moment where she's kind of,
So nice to meet you, Bev. Will you have a great evening? Cheers.
so she gives that kind of, there's that delay of where she's kind of like, what? Like, like that kind of moment where she's thinking. So I think that's really helping.
Nice to meet you, Bev. Will you have a great evening? Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
I like that where he's like, cheers, and then it comes back to her.
Cheers.
That's very nice. Okay, cool. So let's just give this a watch back. I think I'm pretty happy with that as our fine cut pass. So I'm just going to move it along here where he just kind of comes in and gets his coat going. And that's another thing too is, how much of this beginning do we need? So we start to look at that where he's coming in. But I think we're telling some good story here. Where he's like confused and stuff. So I think we hold on that. So let's go with that. Okay, and let me just see if I can go to um, I go sim in a viewer here, and then now we can see the whole. I want you guys to see the whole sequence. So here we go.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Barb. I noticed you're having a little bit of trouble with your computer. Just let me know if you need a hand. I'll be happy to help.
Oh, thank you. As you can tell, I am struggling a little bit here. And making a little bit of noise, aren't I? Oh, my name's Jeffrey Lincoln.
Nice to meet you. And you are no bother at all. You know, your name sounds really familiar. Didn't you used to teach a creative writing class at U of T? And you have several best-selling fiction novels.
Yes. How kind of you to mention that. Yes, I taught for 25 plus years at U of T. Oh, I've been retired for a few years now, though. I have great memories of those wonderful years.
Wow. My sister Diane took one of your classes. She used to tell the most amazing stories about her professor and the things he taught her. You know, if it wasn't for you, she wouldn't have gone on with the program. Because of you, she's no quitter today. I can't wait to tell her I actually met you. Enough of my gushing. Please go on with what you were doing. Nice to meet you, though.
Yes, likewise. And say hi to Diane for me. Well, listen, it's been so nice to meet you, Bev. Well, you have a great evening. Cheers.
Oh, wow. I'd better go help him.
I would keep going from there. So, yeah, no, I was really sorry. I just realized we didn't have the sound there for a couple minutes. Yeah, really happy with where we are there with the edit. And there's definitely playing with the tempo there. We can go from, in the beginning here, it was a bit faster. And we went from like slow, fast, back to kind of our dialogue section. So faster, building up on the banging on the computer. Then it slows down as they have the dialogue. It comes back up to like a faster pace ending. So that works really well. So yeah, I'm really happy with where that is. Last thing, what you want to definitely do is, hit File, Save Project, right up there, File, Save Project. Everything's saved. And then what I would do is to keep going, I would go into Fine Cut 1, 2, right? I'd go to 2, 3, and keep making Fine Cut versions until you can, be satisfied that you've finished the Fine Cut. So that's really the next assignment that I want everyone to do is, before we meet again next week, work on the Fine Cut. And, in that way, we'll be ready to go from next week. So demo the Fine Cut, and the next thing is to make the, get your Fine Cuts finished. And then from the Fine Cut next week when we get together, we're gonna go Fine Cut to picture lock and make all the final decisions and really make sure we're happy with it. And even put a little bit of sound design in it just to make it a little bit more viewable. Filling in the gaps, just making everything, screening ready is what we want to do with the locked picture, and go from there. So yeah, so that's awesome. So if just want to thank everyone. We're just kind of running out of time right now, but want to thank everyone for joining us. Definitely, all our partners and projects on this project to make it happen. So we have our the Canada Council for the Arts. We have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So thanks for joining us. Please email me, tom@tbmcs.ca, if you'd like to share one of your cuts, and love to see different versions and different ideas. I think that's the really cool part, is that at the end of the day, we can all, if there's 100 people editing this, there'll be 100 different variations. And that's the really cool part. Different paces, different variations to it, different approaches and styles. Maybe someone will hold on the wider longer, someone will go to close-ups faster, sooner, right? And all these nuances that make each edit particular to each editor. And that's the really fun part. So definitely, so for next week, please finish from rough cut to fine cut. And then I will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of the day. Take care.